People who are sick or demon-possessed, the whole city gathering near the door where Jesus is staying. Are they gathered to watch the healings and exorcisms, or has every single one of them suffered from sickness or demon possession? What had they come here to see? Now we are in Mark's chapter 1. It's the beginning of Jesus' Galilean ministry in Capernaum. And I want to take you back just a bit earlier in the chapter. The people have been astounded by Jesus' teaching in a synagogue because he taught as one with absolute authority. A man there with an unclean spirit had cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus tells the unclean spirit, "Be silent and come out of him." The people of Capernaum are in a stir. They are saying, "What is this? He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him." By the time Jesus arrives at the house of Simon Peter, the whole village is talking about him. Now, the Jesus movement had no travel budget, but relied on the hospitality of people along the way. We can imagine Peter's distress that he can offer no hospitality, for his mother-in-law has a fever. And so Jesus heals her. He takes her hand and he lifts her up. And then she can serve him. The healing has restored her agency and her purpose. This is what Jesus does. He lifts us up so that people may join in the Jesus movement. And this intimate story of healing is like a tiny detail at the edges of a grand, crowded painting of Jesus' entire ministry. Mark's gospel repeatedly shows us that proclaiming or preaching for Jesus is comprehensive. It includes his exorcisms and his healings, but also his controversial midrash on Jewish law, all the ways in which he makes God's reign known and observable. Although the Gospels are peppered with them, the full range of Jesus' public ministry is greater than the sum of all these one-off healings. It is strategic, it is systemic, it challenges the existing paradigm, and it calls for a new one to be ushered in. Its aim is to liberate people, heal people, restore people to community, forgive people, and to speak truth to power. Jesus was framing all the dis-ease of the world as God's concern and his own mission. So that's the big picture. But here in Capernaum, Mark is showing us how spreading the news, good news, starts on a human scale amongst a few people at a time. So this is not a public healing as some of Jesus' later ones were. It was at a friend's house. Jesus has gone off to regroup, but word of his healing had gotten out, and by that evening, there's the crowd gathered, hoping to be touched by him, hoping to be lifted up as he lifted up Peter's mother-in-law. There were so many itinerant healers and prophets in these times, but there is something different about this Jesus. He is powerful. He is unsettling. He is magnetic. And so many are healed in that evening at Capernaum. But along with healings, Jesus throws out a lot of demons here. Just as he encountered at the synagogue, there be demons. Now, I tend to think of demons as a way that people in the ancient Near East understood mental illness. But I wonder if these demons are different. Because the interesting thing is that they know who Jesus is, and he wants to silence them. Perhaps he sees these demons as influencers who work against what is good. Demons like this make us doubt or shame or fear or deny or polarize. And there are demons who work in systems. They sabotage, they shout down, they distract, they intimidate, they dox, they delay, they attack the messenger, they spread misinformation. Jesus would encounter plenty of demons like these in his ministry too. Now, I don't know about all the demon-possessed in Capernaum, but some of them seem to know something about Jesus' identity that he does not yet want revealed. That's a common thread in Mark, Jesus not wanting his disciples to reveal who he is. Because for Jesus, these voices disrupt his work. They may have the truth, but their aim is to derail him, to confuse and confound and overwhelm people who do not yet understand, and that will slow him down. They do not yet know. They have not yet heard. Not even his disciples had fully grasped the fullness of who Jesus is. He is just getting started. The nature of Jesus' ministry was that it would not be rooted in a single place. He needed to travel freely and to preach openly. The work of God in Jesus could not be revealed in a single day. It is a journey. Jesus knows that people will not follow him if they do not first know him as one of them. So that's why throughout Mark's gospel, Jesus' work unfolds as encounters in these hyper-local contexts. He is however or wherever the people are. There are so many in need along the way, and Jesus is able to heal and preach to many of them. He goes to places and draws a crowd, but it is not the sum total of people that he touches that ultimately spreads the message. It is the geometric effect of their witness. So while the healing of Peter's unnamed mother-in-law is just one story, it is a spark that lights up all of Capernaum. And so now he goes on to the next village. Now, these small-scale stories, I think, still speak to us, and they remind us that God is still working with us way, way down here in the dirt. They bear out the miracle of Jesus' presence as the incarnate one who wept with, listened to, touched, who knew his people's pain intimately and lifted them up with his own hands. And that's something we can understand. It's something we can model. We can visualize ourselves as little Christs, too. We can show love and lift up one person at a time. We lift them up so that people may be restored to purpose. As the gospel story progresses, we see Jesus become so much more than a healer of the sick. His movement will grow so fast that he will commission others to assist in his work. And miracle upon miracle, they find themselves healers too, and spreaders of the gospel. So Jesus will stay on the move, and he will prophesy, and he will challenge power, and he will exorcise more demons on the way, all the way to Jerusalem, where finally, in the end, he will sacrifice all for our sake, and he will pay a price for inaugurating God's reign, and all will truly be revealed about his saving mission. And Jesus will be lifted up and sit at the right hand of his Father. And those people in Capernaum, the ones who kept the faith and conquered their own demons, must have remembered how Jesus had lifted up their friend's mother-in-law, because they told the story, and we are still hearing it today. That's the way the world is changed. That's the way Christ's gospel travels, one hand up and one story at a time.